Good morning, boys and girls of the internet. Boy, do I have a treat for you guys. This is a good family friend of ours, Danny. This is his 94 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It is the Laredo edition. And it is beat, as you can clearly see. Danny lives about an hour and so from work. Drives this thing up the interstate every day. It's his only means of transportation at the current moment. And he's just making do. Which, you know, a lot of us do that. We just make do with what we've got. And he called us today and said, hey, I'm at work. Took me like an extra 30 minutes to get there because my old Grand Cherokee is running hot. Do you think you guys could look at it? I've never drove Danny's Cherokee, and I didn't know how bad it was until I drove it here. So, and he gave us a fair warning when we went to pick it up from his job. He drives a tractor trailer for a living for a wood company in town. But anyway, the power steering doesn't work. I don't know if it's just because it pukes all its fluid out, but something causes the power steering not to work at all. So you've got to fight this thing to get it to steer. Okay. You know, we can deal with that. There's zip ties holding vacuum lines on. Some of this wiring looks like it's been burnt at one point in time. It's full of pine needles, funnels. The passenger floorboard is slammed full of water bottles. Someone's been playing with electrical stuff in here. I don't know what any of that does. Over here, this side of the engine is absolutely drenched in motor oil. I mean, literally, it's pouring motor oil. The transmission is pouring, and that's not even what bothered me. What bothered me was when I got in it to leave, I knew the power steering wasn't going to work, but I did not know that the vehicle doesn't turn. And I don't know how to explain this other than this door is kind of broken. The other door doesn't open or close. It's bolted shut because something's broke. Once again, I'm not here to judge anybody. We're just going to help Danny out. This thing's got 278 on it for miles. This is a Jeep, so you know it's going to go that extra mile. But when you go to turn the key, the steering, it's got like... So I was driving it down the road. The best thing I can tell you to do is go on my TikTok. It's the J Smart, TheJaysmart, if I spelled that right. I'm running on just caffeine today. So the Smart. I posted a video. I was driving this thing back to the shop, and I was going down the road, and the wheel was like this, and I was going straight. And it was pulling to the left, and I was pulling to the right, and I had to make a left turn, and it turns about right there, and then it catches again. So it's got almost a full turn in the wheel before it even starts to drift either direction. Now, the speed limit on our interstate up here that he happens to drive to get to work is about 70 miles an hour or so. And a lot of people run about 80. I was doing 35 and thought I was going to die. Every bump you hit, the wheel goes a different direction. It's like it's not even connected to anything. So I was like, we've got to put this on the lift. Now, the coolant issue... Okay, we've lost our pressure. She was cooking on the way here, so I left the radiator cap loose. But, there's the inside of our radiator. Wonderful. And it's empty again. The water pump is puking. I mean, like... It is just absolutely pouring. And I have a flashlight, but the LED is going bad in it, so it's blue. So just bear with me. Looks like a UV light. It's not a UV light, but the camera makes it look even worse than it actually is. It's not quite that blue. The camera's just making it worse. But yeah, the water pump is puking her guts out. The engine itself, like I said, is leaking every fluid that you could possibly put in it. There's our, massive oil leak. It's leaving a puddle. It's all the way down there. It's just really bad. So let's get this thing in the air. Okay, so she's up in the air now. It's leaking fluids as it sits here. We'll get our blue light. Everything is soaked. The diff is soaked. The axles are soaked. This pitman arm, this lower part down here is coming apart. That's where a lot of the play is coming from. The bottom of the gearbox is also starting to fall out, and part of that lock washer has broken, and so the pitman arm itself is like doing like this on the actual shaft. And that's a spline shaft, so that's not good. If it wears that out, you're gonna lose your steering. That motor mount is broke. That motor mount is broke. You can see oil is just pouring. The cooler lines are leaking for the trans. This whole motor is just glistening. The exhaust manifold right there is broken. The weld has broke and it has opened up, so it's loud as crap right there. Looks like the gear shifter cable, the seal around it on the side of the transmission's leaking. Axle seal's leaking on this side. Let's go back here. The rear main seal is leaking. The transmission pan is leaking. Sure enough, someone has changed one of the sensors on the side of the trans, maybe the reverse switch, trying to get it to stop leaking from there. This whole cross member is just covered and dripping. Let's see, tail shaft seal is leaking. Differential is leaking. You can see the oil seeping out around it, or the trans fluid. It's leaking at where the case mounts together. It's leaking up there at the front seal. The trans mount looks like it's got some cracking in it. It's not doing anything. This catalytic converter looks like it's been off. It's probably hollow. The exhaust is caked in oil where it has splattered and ran down the back. Original drive shaft in it, December 23rd of 93. It's about to have a birthday. The fuel filter is covered in fluid. It's not gas. It's just all the oil and stuff that's puking from the motor is hitting everything back here, coating it black. I mean, everything is just soaked. The back of the fuel tank is so wet from ATF dripping on it, just the rubber seals that dampen the fuel tank mounts are swelling. The back of the Jeep is coated in oil. It looks like it's painted black. This thing is actually green. It's like an army green, but the back is literally black. Look at that, where I rubbed the tail light. So, I don't have the funds to fix everything, and I know Danny doesn't either. So I think what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to pick and choose our battles here. Maybe use some gasket maker to button up a few of the oil leaks. It's also running on 4 whole cylinders, so it shakes like a Banshee and doesn't have a lot of horsepower. That tire's about to pop. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna give it a tune-up, make it run on all 6. Like I said, use some gasket maker to try to fix some seals. We're gonna change this pitman arm and this outer or inner steering. I don't know what they would list that is. This is a center link, so maybe it's the center link end or tie rod end for a center link. I'm not sure how they would list that, but we're gonna change that. Try to get some of this oil off the motor. You can cut these cooler lines and shove it over it and use hose clamps. Maybe that'll fix some of the leaking right there. I don't know. I really don't know. This is, ooh, it's rough. Okay, so, I almost wish I just had another beater car or something I could just give him. Because this is, I wouldn't drive this on the road. I mean, he's all by himself. It's just him that drives it every day. But still, this is not good. Okay, we'll be back. Okie doke, so we've had lunch. We came back. The C lock washer was broke off the pitman arm. We put a new one on that. That took care of the up and down movement in that. And then this little arm right here is like a tie rod for the center link that hooks to the other side of the pitman arm. So that ball was just, you can wobble it all over the place in there. It was no bueno. So we changed that, got that put back together. Now we're working on the water pump. And just as we thought, me and Dad both said this, these are the impellers off of the water pump. And the metal's so cheap and thin, really doesn't matter what brand of pump you get, I guess, unless you spend like a lot of money and get like a performance water pump. But the standard parts store water pumps, and I was able to locate 3 of the impellers. 1, 2, 3. They were down in there in the cylinder head, just kind of chilling in that water jacket. So I got them out.
There's the old one.
This is the pump in question you see right now. It's actually sharp. It's a throwing star. Look at that. So odds are these just started breaking off probably around the same time. Normally when you get them apart at this stage, they've all went. You hardly ever take it apart with one left on it, because that one ends up moving all the water. But you can see it's flat, so it's not gonna really push any water at all. And here's the new one, and you see it's got fins left. So there's supposed to be 5. I've got 3. This one has none. He said, I've got those 3. I dug around in there, couldn't find the other ones. They're probably just sitting somewhere in that coolant jacket. They're not gonna hurt anything. Don't worry about it. You can leave them in there. I just wanted to fish these out more or less for you guys to look and see what happens. And first, like I said, I don't know what it is, if it's just because of the cheap casting of the pump or what, but this happens a lot. I put 3 of these on McDaniel's Jeep back to back, all within about 3 years. It was about 1 water pump a year. It would just eat. And then I would take it apart, and the fins would be gone, and I'd put another one on it. We would fucking run it, and it would eat another one. All the rust in the radiator doesn't help anything. I guess we'll try to make an effort to flush some of that out. Other than that, we're gonna slap this back together, check the steering, and see if we can't maybe make the power steering work. And then look at a couple of these oil leaks, do a tune-up kit on it, make it fire on all 6 cylinders, go from there. So we'll be back. Good morning, folks. Look how still the lake is. I don't know if you even saw that. The water is like glass this morning. This is just tacking on to the end of this Jeep video. I forgot to film like the finishing part. We didn't completely do everything the Jeep needed. We fixed the coolant leaks. We did fix an oil leak from the pressure switch thing for the gauge. We went ahead and flushed the radiator out the best we could. This lighting makes me look awful, and I'm pretty awful looking anyway, but dang, that lighting doesn't help. Flushed the coolant, cleaned the radiator out, put it all back together. We did a pitman arm on it, changed the bushings in that, the little washers, I guess you should say, and then we changed that tie rod in. That took almost the majority, good probably like 80% of the slack out of the steering by fixing that. That's all we had time for that day. Danny, was gonna get off work, had to have a way home, so he came to get it, drove it home. He's supposed to bring it back sometime this weekend, maybe Friday or so, and we're gonna do a full tune-up on it, get the misfire out of it and everything, and try to take care of a couple more oil leaks. Anyway, that was just an update onto that. I'm now stuck in traffic for some reason. We're doing 29 miles an hour in a 55. So this little Escape is about to go around a Chevrolet Dually and a Avalanche. Hope you guys have a great morning. Thanks for watching. That's just to clarify on the Jeep video. We'll catch you in the next one.